Hi everyone, welcome to Technology. On today's section, I'll be walking you through Jenkins master slave architecture. So, we all know that Jenkins is a CI tool. Jenkins is a mediator among all the DevOps tools. That's why it's called continuous integration because that's where you pass through every process of application development. All right, so let's go over and talk more about Jenkins. So, like I said earlier, Jenkins is a mediator to all the DevOps tools. So, as you can see, this is the Jenkins master, and Jenkins work with multiple plugins. You know, when we say Jenkins is a mediator to all the DevOps tools, that means it works with every DevOps tool using multiple plugins. Basically, Jenkins is a powerful tool because of the plugins and extensions and is an open source tool. That means every developer out there who work with multiple codes can go on Jenkins server and contribute to it. Basically, we have some developers who deal with bunch of codes on daily basis. So this kind of people, they understand how codes work, they face different test cases and all that. Let's say people that work for Google, that work for all the big companies, they deal with bunch of codes and server on daily basis. These are the kind of people that can actually contribute to Jenkins. Like I said, Jenkins is an open source. So Jenkins was able to work with every DevOps tools using multiple plugins. That means if you want to integrate any kind of tool with Jenkins, you have to download that plugins on Jenkins. Like I said, Jenkins is an open source. That means every tools have their plugins and extensions on Jenkins. That's why it's very powerful. All right, so let's go over and see Jenkins master slave architecture. So as you can see in the diagram, so we got Jenkins master right here. It can be installed on Linux server, and we have a source code repository. So let's say this is your GitHub. It can be any repository of your choice. Jenkins master pull the code at every commit. All right. So this is how Jenkins elements are put together and interact. So you can see Jenkins master. We have a source code repository. Every developer commits changes to the source code found in the repository. The Jenkins CI server checks the repository at every regular intervals and pull any newly available code, just as you can see right here. Then the build server builds the code into executable file. In case the build failed, feedback is sent back to the developer, which is going to be somewhere right here. Then Jenkins deployed the build application to the test server using TCP IP. If test fails, the developer are then alerted. All right. If the code is error-free, the test application is deployed to the production server, as you can see right here. So Jenkins pull the code from source code management, build it, and send a workload to the test server. The server can be Windows server, and production server can be on macOS or any other hybrid server. So the files can contain different code and be very large, requiring multiple builds. However, a single Jenkins server cannot handle multiple files and build simultaneously. For that reason, a distributed Jenkins architecture is necessary. So let's go over and see how Jenkins manage nodes. Add a slave node to Jenkins using JNLP Connection. JNLP stands for Java Network Launching Protocol. This is the way Jenkins master connects to every other slave server. It's called nodes on Jenkins. You can have multiple nodes because the code could be large. So this single server of Jenkins cannot build all the codes. So it needs other slaves node to share the workloads on. That's why Jenkins need other slaves. It can have multiple slaves, but basically we have a test server and production server. All you need to do is to download Jenkins or set up Jenkins on your master server or Jenkins main. All right. And Jenkins is going to connect to the nodes using JNLP. The rest of the server or the nodes don't have to have Jenkins on them. So you need to set up JDK on the slaves. That means you download JDK Java on slave machine or nodes before Jenkins master can be able to connect with them. All right, so let's see how Jenkins integrates with DevOps tools. All right, so as you can see right here, we have a Jenkins master, and Jenkins can connect with GitHub. That means we need to download GitHub plugins. Then we're going to connect Jenkins with Docker and connect Jenkins with a Tomcat, just like we see in the architecture. So that means Jenkins integrated with GitHub repo, Jenkins integrate with Docker container, and Jenkins integrate with Tomcat container. All this thing is being done using plugins. That means if we want to integrate GitHub with Jenkins, we need GitHub plugins. If we want to integrate Docker with Jenkins, we need Docker plugins. If we want to integrate Tomcat with Jenkins, we need Tomcat plugins. So all these plugins exist on Jenkins. Don't worry, you're going to see how we do that by the time we start doing the hands-on. All right, so let's go over this one after the other. Integration with VCS, Virtual Control System. That could be GitHub, GitLab, or Bitbucket. So it copies a Git repository to a slave file system from Jenkins master. So like I said, Jenkins is going to be integrated with GitHub and copy a Git repository to the slave file system from Jenkins master or Jenkins main. Every time developer work is done, it's going to push it down to the GitHub repo, and Jenkins will be connected using plugins and check every new code like, hey, is there anything new to work on? And if there's anything new that developer push to the source code management, Jenkins master is going to check it at every interval and build it. All right, so let's go over to integration with Tomcat. So in order to integrate Jenkins with your Tomcat, you need to download plugins so you can be able to create to execute Java servlets and render web pages application on Tomcat node using Jenkins master or Jenkins main. So if you want to deploy your application, you need a container. So that's where Tomcat containers comes in. So you can be able to deploy your running application on the web server, and every other users can be able to interact with it. All right, so let's go over and see integration with Docker. So you can be able to containerize the website in the previous step to a Docker container using Jenkins. Like I said, every tools are connected to the Jenkins, which is the CI tool. That is why it's called continuous integration, because every time there's a new thing, it's going to trigger and build them and send them to the necessary servers. That's the work of Jenkins. So you can be able to containerize the website in the previous step to a Docker container using Jenkins master or Jenkins main. So that's how Jenkins work with every other tools. You can integrate every automated tools with Jenkins master, and it's going to deliver the workload to every other server. All right, so let's go and understand what are CICD pipeline. You're going to be hearing more of CICD. CICD pipeline, that is continuous delivery and continuous deployment pipeline, are a way of running Jenkins job in a sequence manner which resemble pipeline view. So as you can all see, the pipeline, this is the Jenkins master, and it's going to run all the job to the finished application. So Jenkins is going to distribute the workload on every other servers. So let's go and understand the CI/CD pipeline. So you can see we got GitHub right here. It could be any virtual control system, GitLab, Bitbucket, you mention it, whatever your company is using. That's where your source code is, right? The moment the Jenkins pull, it download the Git code to the repository. And from there, it goes to the build website, whereby we can containerize the Git code into Apache container. And from there, we have test website, whereby we can validate the website. And from there, it goes to the production server. That's why it's called pipeline. You can see how the job goes from one stage to the other, and you can be able to view them in a pipeline view. So basically, that's what we mean by CI/CD pipeline. On our next section, we're going to see how we're going to integrate every other DevOps tools with our Jenkins master and be able to view it on the website. So basically, that's what we mean by CICD pipeline. All right, so this brings us to the end of this section, guys, and I hope you learned. Thank you.